Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Meyer Studio. I'm Jason Meyer, and this is Morning Jumpstart. So this morning we've got some value compositions we're going to kind of finalize and look at. We've got a color study, and then we're going to look at an interior. So we got a full show, so lots of fun ahead. As a reminder, tomorrow morning will be the last morning jumpstart of the week. Pardon me. So if you'd like feedback on your color study, try to get that into me by tonight. All right, let's see. Can we make this any better? Can we make this any better? I bet we could. How's that? That's got to be a lot better, huh? All right, so we got Tom. Good morning, Tom. Good to see you. Holding down the North Lights studio. Miss Susan's on the ranch. And there's our backbone, Miss Cindy. Miss Cindy, thanks everybody for being here. And let's see, shall we jump in and get started, see what we can do today? So it's about lilacs today. I think it's all about lilacs today. Had a few lilacs submitted, so let's look. So we've got Peggy up first, and then we're going to look at Susan, and then Katie. Oops, wait a minute. We got Peggy, Claudia, Katie, Susan, and Wendy today. So those will be that'll be the order we go in. Peggy, Claudia, Katie, Susan, and Wendy. All right, so Miss Peggy, great. I think the one thing that I might suggest here is just making sure that we've got on this tabletop some cast shadow. That'll help to really solidify some of that there. Right, just so that everything's not so puffy. You know, so that'll do there what this is doing up here. And rather than having like a straight line here, you know, you could break that up a little couple different directions. Might make it, I don't know. But again, up to you. Up to you. That's part of the design. I might come back down into here. Just like we can, if we've got this, we want to bring something out here, we can also cut into it. And that's a good strategy too. So I think that might, boom. And then if we did that, I wouldn't want that big straight V like that. So I would get some of your other lilacs in here breaking that a little bit. But I do like you got it here, so this is nice. So what I want to do is, if I have a diagonal here, I want to look at like maybe up here, could I extend that out just a little bit to break that some more? Right, and then if I have the straight line there, then I might think of ways I could break that line. Something like that. You see how if we just push in and out just a little bit, we can get a lot more from it. And then make sure your darks, and it could be the photo, I don't know, but make sure you've got enough darks here to hold, and then don't forget a sky hole or two. A sky hole or two for, you know, just to make it kind of lilac-y. Is that a word? Lilac-y? I think the only thing funner, I know it's more fun, but let's say funner, the only thing funner than painting is making up words. Making up accurate words. All right, Peggy, so I think you're looking really good here. I think we had just a tad more structure. That would probably add to it. Yeah, that's basically all I did there, was a tad more structure, and perhaps that leading diagonal I broke up just a little bit more. Very good. Very good, very good. I do like how Peggy is keeping the most in the center so that this whole thing turns around. Okay, so I did notice you did that. Good job, Peggy. Good job. And then, yep, let's stick with what we've got there. All right. How's everybody doing? How are we doing? We okay? Still got everybody's attention? See, I said Claudia was up next. I believe this is Claudia. Her value. Yes, 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 yes. Yes, yes. So she said in the email, I believe she said that the background is not as dark as it appears. So that was going to be my one thing, is just to make sure that everything comes off the background a little bit. And so, and again, it depends. If you want the light brighter, then you could have the background closer to the shadow. But if you want it kind of a little bit more open, not quite so focused and intense, then bring that background value up. But yeah. So it's funny, but this would be the same thing that I just suggested to Peggy, would be what would be next for here. And so we see how you've got this nice dark diagonal shadow shape, number 4 shape happening through here. Again, I might just a few sky holes, see if we can break that a little bit in front, even maybe behind some of these things, and that'll give a little bit of, I got to be careful I'm not doing the same thing over and over too. Right, but yeah, if we have in front of, and I know you do with light here, but if with dark for the shadow, and then have something behind too, that'll really start to, you see how little it took to, man, start to really interact those pieces. Yeah. Again, so just a little bit in front, something behind, a sky hole or two. And what's the other end of those sky holes? You see how I'm just kind of lilacking this up? There I go, continue to make words up. But you know what I say, if the overlord wants to make words up, let him make words up. Better than riding my case all the time. Alright, and then the same thing kind of with the light, if we just kind of jump outside here and there. Why? Well, this is lilac-y. Lilac-like. Because they're not necessarily solid edges. These are a bunch of individual flowers. Is that right? Individual flowers? Yeah, I guess that's what how you'd say that. And so, and it'll help soften that edge up a little bit. But you don't want to do that too much that you lose the structure. You see a little bit went a long way here. Did I level up here? I did not. I did not. Oof. So we'll just backward and forward this then. So basically it was just some sky holes, and then making sure the leaves were both in front of and behind some of the lilacs. And then we got some sky holes in some of the lilacs. And then what happened? What happened to some of our light jumped out here as well. So I hope that helps. But yeah, so let me point out a couple of things that I love what she did here, because I think we can all use that in what makes this success. Well, one, look, she's got some dark down here and darker up there. So what she's doing is she's holding the light. Do you see that? By making this darker, a little darker on the edges, she's holding, or you could even say compressing the light. Compressing the light. Hey, I looked up long enough to see Shakti made it. Hey, good morning, Shakti. Okay, so that's great. And then the other thing I like, look at the gradual walk up here versus the suddenness here. Boom, 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 boom. Versus the gradation. Do you see that? Then we still have some suddenness, but we have gradation and gradation, then suddenness. Here we have suddenness, then gradation. I know that's, in one way, that's very, very simple. But if you've got your mind in all these little complicated rabbit holes, it's hard to pull out that far that fast. But let's go through that one more time. Oh, goodness, 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 goodness. Somebody did not add a layer. So everything's just piled on. That's like not having shelves in your house. Okay, so we wanted to go through this again. So this dark holds the light, and we have a step. Boom, boom, from dark to light. Now this isn't quite as dark, but it's still darker, and it holds the light, but this time we're gradating. Okay, and then once we get here, we step. So we gradate, and then, oops, let's try that again. We gradate, and then we step. Here, we step, and then we go gradating from gray to our dark. Do you see that little difference? That's really what's making this music. That's what's really making these visual notes. And what that right there is orchestration of the big pieces. Okay, and then in the soft turning here, occasionally we can have a little step. Right, just for variety. We got to shake things up. We got to shake things up. Okay, so I hope some of you were able to catch that. I hope some of you were able to catch that. Can you see that now? Can you see how that light is held? And it goes from the tabletop up through the lilacs, and we can read that as one piece. And one side of those lilacs feel different than the other side of the shape of the lilacs, but we still have definite shapes. All right, we're making some visual music now, people. We're making some visual music. Makes me a happy camper. A happy camper. All right, 15 minutes in. So we've got Katie, we have Susan, and we have Wendy left this morning. Yeah. Nice, Claudia. Nice, nice, nice. Yeah, to get the definition of the lilac and that soft feel of the lilac. No small feat. No small feat. Katie, what are you doing to me? What are you doing to me? Let's see, is it 6:15 out there or 5:15 in the morning right now? You nearly gave me a heart attack when I loaded this morning. Nearly gave me a heart attack. Oh, Miss Claudia, I hope you didn't just get here because I just finished up your your thing. If so, you can watch the rerun. But we're glad to have you here. We're glad to have you here. All right. So Katie wants to take the fancy pants. Katie wants to take the fancy pants title away from Jason here. What's happening? So is this going to be Fancy Pants Katie from now on? I'm sorry, Claudia. Oh, timing. So it's there, and Cindy will get that to you. Okay, so Katie, beautiful. Okay. Very nice. So thinking of what we just talked about on those big structures, what do we see here? I see Katie taking all kinds of lessons and applying them. Oof. You guys better watch out. Katie's on fire. She's probably still half asleep. It's too early, Jason. Did you guys see that little trick she did there? Oh, somebody's been listening. So this is a more passive side versus an active side. You see that? So this overall is more passive. Why, that's a more active side. Very nice. Very nice. Yeah, I love the whole idea, Katie. I love the whole idea. And it is very beautiful. So let's not put this to waste. So this is not to take anything from you, but I want to show you how can we make this the very most it could possibly be. The most it can possibly be. And the first thing I want to do is let's start with the structure of the vase. Okay, because I want that vase to feel like it can hold up all the weight of those lilacs falling over there. Okay, and so this is going to be an edge thing. And what we're going to do is we're going to have a hard edge here. And we're going to have a hard edge let's see, I don't know that I like that. I just don't think it's doing us any favors. So I'm going to want this shadow to come over there so I can get that light all the way to the base of that. Okay. And then these shadows that are falling on here, I know physically this is not what would be happening, but I'm gonna still do a pretty solid straight line on that. Okay, and then I love the leaf here, but let's get a nice solid edge here. Solid, and then a soft edge here. Love that negative space. Love that negative space. right? And you see those little negative spaces will read, but we've got to kind of lock, we do have to lock them up. Shadow underneath. And then, yeah, let that roll over like that. I love that you're carrying that up. I love, and the same thing, this right here, I think we may need to, and again, rather than going straight down like this, I like it. We might be more effective a little bit over there, and then even tie into that. Okay, and then, okay, so let's go in, and I'm going to do this edge thing, and let's see how that changes everything. You want to avoid you can do a little bit of that here and there, but you're relying a little bit more on line here. And we want to do this in mass. So what I prefer, rather than a little line there, a painter solution, is a hard edge. Right? If we get a hard edge, between the background, you can see I can have the values closer together, but with hard, definite edges, I can separate from that background without having to rely on line. You see the value can be very close, but with those hard edges, we can still show those. Okay, and then the other thing that I'm going to do here, Katie, is get rid of this dark that's running back through there. Okay, the viewers are going to assume that this is flat and that is upright. There's no need to kind of give them a special tour of the house, right, where the floor meets the wall, when you're on the house and garden tour. You know, I don't think they're there to see the junction of the floor and the wall unless they're really into transitions. But if the house is put together right, if it's on the home and garden tour, well, the junction of the floor and the wall is going to be the last place anybody's ever going to be able to focus or look. All right. All right, no worries, Claudia. All is good. We're sorry we missed you. And look, Cindy's right on top of it. She's going to be sending out the links. Boom, boom, boom. Man, does that woman add value or what? She adds value plus. But we won't get into all of that. Because I don't want any of you guys trying to steal her away from me. What if we flatten that out? Take that. Okay. I feel like I got that over just a little bit far. There. Now, if you really stare at that, it looks awkward. But nobody's going to be looking at it. Okay? Nobody's going to be looking at it. So let's go lighter grayer back here. And again, get a... Now we can start to let off a little bit. short edge there. Negative shape. Let's get a little negative shape in all this dark here. Yeah, so see if as I just go slightly darker in the background than you have here, I think that would be a better solution than the lines around. All right, let me say a more painterly solution. All right, and I think also it's going to, I don't think, I know, make the lilacs look brighter. But what about the edges you were talking about? Oh yeah. Well, we started by cutting into that, and then I'm gonna let that leaf and the vase have the same value. And we got an edge to soften. We have an edge to soften. Ooh, that looked big. What is this here? Okay. So as without a form, like the other side of the vase is a cast shadow. And this is a form shadow. A form shadow on a round object has got to be soft. Okay, so let's see what we got there. Let's see what we got. Okay, so for one thing, look at just taking that little bit of white off the edge, and this is the power of white. Immediately. Okay, so what I did there was just really shore up that background and that shadow. In other words, I'm sincerely separating my dark value from my number 3 value from my number 2 value. Okay. So I hope that helps. Hope that helps. Then with the background like this, what that's going to allow us to do is then for our lilacs and light, we could be a little bit more like this. And again, this might be pictures, I don't know. When I say pictures, I mean the photograph. Right, so if the light on the lilac is something like this, then that gives us all this room then to still... Did that actually change? It didn't. You see then, so we can, because if we don't have a most, how are we going to get them to to the center? And again, I don't want to put this white on the edge of any of this. And I'd probably like to put most of it in the middle part of the bouquet, again, to show the big wrapping around of the whole, not just of each individual flower. Probably get a little light on the top of that. Little light there. So, okay. So you got $1 million painting here, Katie. Let's bring it home. Might need a little bit in that negative shape there just to break up that straight line a little bit. Maybe something out here too. Okay, just slow, because this is a big, that's a really fast. I think we need to think about how we can slow that down. One is going to be bringing some light to cross it this way, and then the other part would be working some dark in here. Maybe like that. Okay, so just a couple of ideas there, but again, I love what you've got going so far. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So a little before and after. Remember, think like a painter, not like, think in terms of mass, not in terms of line. Very nice, very, very, very nice. All right, Miss Katie. So there you go. So that does it for the compositions. So let's get to the color study. So she had a few different colors than I did, which is just fine, again, because we're going to work them all into relation. We're going to work them all into relationship. So, Susan, if she's still able to be here, are those greens reading accurately, or are they reading a little bright? I know greens can be notoriously hard to photograph. They can be hard to photograph. So let me know on that. They are reading bright, yeah. That's kind of what I thought. Because it kind of feels just a little too bright for me. That's my main critique. But there is a little form thing we can talk about here. So loose. Yeah. Yeah. It is. And that's the thing, is these look like lilacs. They're fun and playful like lilacs. All of that. All right, so I'm going to give some feedback here, but remember, I'm doing this for the image I see, not for your exact painting. I know that you know this. So it's all compare and relate. Overall, I think good. What has she done? Well, the tabletop's darker, richer. The background's lighter, grayer. I think that's working really nice. Your gradations look like they're working really nice for me. Your darks are nice and solid. Your darks are nice and solid. Yeah, so a lot of really good things happening here. A lot of really, really good things happening here. Good, 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 good. But, I guess I'm not here to just say all is good, huh? I'm not the bearer of good news. Oops. Oops, oops. I'm the bearer of hope. What's next? How beautiful can it be? You know, the longer I look at this, Susan, so many nice things going. And I know Susan, on her message, one of the things she said was color is where she's having her problem, or it's such a challenge. Understands everything I say in class and the demonstrations, but then you get to the palette and you're like, let me just say, from what I see, you've got it. You understand it. It's simply a little bit of a matter of measure. Okay, but it really appears to me that you're understanding and you're starting to move these colors. I know you may not feel that yet, but by looking here and seeing what you've got, you're getting it. You're getting it, you're getting it, you're getting it. I know it doesn't feel that way, I know. Suck it to me. Hope and change. Well, I don't know. I can put my big mouth all over it, but it's up to you for the change. It's up to you for the work and the change. So, up to me too. But that's what I thrive on, is that lifelong pursuit. Let's get a little better. All right, is my break over? Just want a little sip of hot tea, and then I did want to take a good look at this before I get into it. Just to give you guys the most value out of our time. Just because I can talk for an hour doesn't mean that I should. Just because you can talk for an hour doesn't mean you should. Don't get me going on that. Don't get me going on that, Cindy. God dang it. Now I'm already seeing all kinds of things, but we're going to get back to this. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about, stop it, both of you. All you guys stop. I'm going to hide the comments. I'm going to hide the comments. You and your imaginations. You and your imaginations. Oof. Stop, Susan. You aren't helping. You aren't helping. Okay. So one thing I want you to notice is, notice where the lightest part is on the lilacs. And do you notice anything about those? Because if we have a ball, right, we got the light coming in, this is our shadow, and then the lightest part has to be in here to get them to the center. If we have a cylinder, right, coming in like that, you might have some light. But again, we've got to put that lightest light off of the edge. And so what happens here, if you've got a lilac doing that, well, the light's coming here. Again, we want to keep it off the edge, but we can show it here, the highlight. Let's just, I guess, go to highlight. So a highlight would be like that, but then the light start to fade off to air that direction. And then from there too, it would start to fade off into air. Do you see that? So we can't take this light from this plane to this plane to this plane to this plane. because that's not how light works, right? If the light was hitting the most right here, then, you know, we might have light here, we might have light there, but we need to show a difference between that angle and that angle. And then we've definitely got to show a difference to this. If it's not going into shadow, it's at least going through some heavy air. Okay, so that, you know, even though this can see, it's still down to these basic forms. It's a cylinder, but now our cylinder has a gesture, and it's not a pure cylinder, it's more of a cone, and it's got really soft edges. But in order for it to look cylinder, we've got to get their eyes in the middle and off of the edge. Okay, I know you probably knew exactly what I was going to say. Oh, and somebody didn't layer up. All right, serves me right. Serves me right. Here we go. Here we go. So this would be my light, but I wouldn't make it my highlight. And then the light here is going to be like that, right there. Alright, so that could just be hiding there, no problem. Okay, and then what about our shadow then on that? So that's going to be basically an air value, right? So lighter than our dark, right? And about the same as our background. And you know, that you can have a little bit of that redness in there. It just has to transition. That's going to be just fine. Alright, so the shadow would be on this end, and the shadow's on this side here. And if this cast a shadow, there could be a shadow there too. This would be a shadow. You guys seeing that? And then our white off the edge. Does that make sense? So we gotta keep our, alright, and this is what's going to make these things have volume. Alright, I hope that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. So, who did not layer up? Who is this guy? Who is this guy? We gotta get rid of him. He stinks. He stinks. Yeah, I think basically I think that was it. I think we need to keep it's just a little bit closer to that dark. I don't know that we want such hard edges here. You know, a hard edge here and there occasionally can be okay, but we do want to kind of just emerge out of the shadow into the light. So just keep that in mind, that we don't want the lilacs like outlined everywhere on the shadow side. Right? So how might you do that? Well, one thing you could do is you could sneak some of these a little bit darker. You see how that just kind of softens that edge up there? A little bit like that. And then the other thing you can do, remember, is take some of that dark and with some sky holes in there. And all of a sudden that it's not just, it still feels a little bit more lilac-y. Okay? Did you? Okay, so getting the value closer, a little bit darker still. And then just mucking up the edge, basically. Right, kind of a half step, and then one step in the dark, a little step into the lilac, and then get some of the darks stepping into the lilac. You see, but what am I doing here? I'm basically mucking up that edge. Do you see the difference? So you were working back and forth with the edge correctly, but that the values are just a little, not a little, they're just too far apart. And so it creates this edge, right? So the edge on the shadow side here is actually harder than the edge on the light side. So you basically did that same thing. I just did it a little bit of a darker value. Okay, so let's see that one more time. Do you feel that? Do you feel that's it's kind of keeping us trapped on the table and locking things up. So hope you feel the release into that. Because we want to kind of, again, rather than being so abrupt, emerge into and out of these things. All right, good job, good job. Let's see. Few bugs. Well, because I had it done today, I can't tell you. I would work on my shapes and work on my shapes and work on my shapes, and I would take it in to the teacher, be so nervous, and he goes, "I thought I told you to work on your shapes." Like, oh God, oh. A bad boy. Oh, come on. I cleaned up my bad boy image. I cleaned up my bad boy image. All right, as long as I'm loved. As long as I'm loved. All right, great job, Susan. So I hope that helped. And again, it may be the photograph, I know, because I know you have a little better touch with the colors and things here. And just one last word before we go, for those of you who don't know, or those of you who need to be reminded, if I feel this is too bright, what should I do? Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some element of the background, yellow ochre probably, maybe burnt umber if I need it, or maybe even a little black to gray it down. But I'm going to gray this down and I'm just not going to gray it down with anything. I want to gray it down with this color. Why? Why? Because if I, into this pile, if I put that, what that's going to mean is this color and this color, the difference, right now let's call this 1 and let's call this 2. 1 is over here and 2 is over here. And what we need to do is we need to bring these two closer together to where maybe 1 is over here and 2 is over here. And we can do that by taking just a little bit of 2 and sticking it into 1. And if that is not enough, what I'm going to take is just a little bit of 1 and mix it into the 2. Okay, so another way of saying that is I want to take my brush and pick up a little background color and add it to that color. Just a little bit. It doesn't take very much. And then if it still doesn't look good enough, then I'm going to take some of this color and work it into my background color right there. And by doing that, these guys who are far apart can at least be brought to sit at the same table. Okay? So that's the idea there with that, and that's how you do it. Great, great. By the way, if this is feeling a little funky, same thing. Same thing, just get it a little bit closer. It still has to maintain its distinction as red or purple or blue, green, yellow, whatever you're trying to do, but it can inch a little, it can sit a little closer. It can sit a little closer. All right. Okay, great job, Susan. Great job. Yeah, I really like that. I really like that. Oh, with the layers. Yep, with the layers. Yeah, I was a bad boy with the layers. That makes more sense, Claudia. Sorry, I'm kind of on my own train here. But it's a devotion to subtlety. Like, not 3, but 5. But, yeah. So, yeah, more of more and less of less. That's... I like that way of phrasing it. I really do. I really, really do. Excellent, 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 excellent. By the way, guys, I'm hoping to film me doing a little bit more of a painting and pushing it more this month. And so, for those of you staying up on this and coming along with me, I'm going to try to walk with you and see if we can't take you further and further, a little bit more by demonstration this month. All right, well, Wendy's been working on this and working on this, and she had a few things in there. Let me see if I can remember all of them, or some of them. Part of it was how to get the tablecloth to look more white. And the answer to that is actually going to rely in your other colors. And then also, should I add leaves to the rose petal? I think so. And what else? So there was the rose petal, the white table. Yeah, well, let's see what we can do here. Let's see what we can do here. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is, if I remember right, we wanted to start the painting somewhere over here. All right, a little ping there. And then we want to come and follow through this area. Before we're pulled back up. So I think I would pull up here. Yeah, we may have talked about this too, because it looks like... See, part of the problem is it's not clear enough where we're going. Because from here I could see, oh, we could go here or we could go here. Or that's drawing me. Right? And then so what do we want to do? Well, what we want to do is we want to take stuff away. I want to take all of this away. I want to take all of this away, and then I need to take this away. And another way of saying take away, what else am I saying when I'm saying take away? Or what's another way we can think about that? Well, we can think about it as the takeaways, the riverbanks, that's going to hold our movement. And until you've got some pretty high level skill, you know, you don't want lake shores. You need riverbanks. In other words, we don't want a big blob. We don't want just a big blob. Right, but now do you see we have no choice but to do this? And the key here again is not this, it's not this, it's not this, it's not this, it's not this. The key is taking away all of this. Because if you don't have nothing, you also don't have something. So, if we want our something to be along this movement, well, that dictates that we need to be very ruthless about taking everything else out of this painting. All right, so I just glanced up and noticed I had 2 minutes. So let's see what I can do in 2 minutes to illustrate that fact. Let's see. So anything pointing you in another direction other than up, I'm taking away. Let's see, light's coming in from this direction. Let's see, so is that making sense? Oops, I've already ran over time. Boop, boop, boop. Ran over time a little bit. So hope that's making sense. And then what I would do to get this up here, because again, there's going to be some shadow up here, as well as light. And we can bring some good color to that. And we should be able to, this is underneath here, so that'll be in shadow. Outside the thing. Shadow there. So you see, without good shadow, light has no substance, or doesn't appear to have any substance. Okay, so just more activity up there, and then where you do want this stuff would be kind of heading up this direction, right? And then you could even start picking a little bit of it up at the top up here. Okay, I know I ran a little low on time, but I hope that gives you an idea. I think for you right now, it's more about taking out where we don't want to be and letting what's already there then shine. And then if we need to, just bringing it up just a little bit. All right. All right. Sorry for running over, guys, but we covered a lot. Today is, what, Tuesday morning. So tonight, Sketch Club. We got one more bonsai. It's going to be 30-minute sketch tonight. So join us for that. Keep your skills sharp. Do those color studies. And Friday, I'm going to show you how we're going to start our paintings. All right, everybody. Have a beautiful day. I guess I could let you see me. There we go. Have a beautiful day. Thank you for all your very hard work. I do appreciate it. And we'll see you guys next time. I've got the spinning wheel. There we go. There we go. So we'll see you guys next time, everybody. Bye, everybody.